Rowland pledged that he would begin work on that project. Thus was born the American Freedom Train. Upon completion of the Golden Spike excursion, the High Iron Company ran 2 more excursions with the 759 in September and October 1969, followed by 12 more during 1970 and 71. Having returned Berkshire 759 to Steamtown at the conclusion of the lease agreement for the 1972 season, High Iron used the powerful X-Redding 484 number 2102 to pull a series of 6 revenue excursions in cooperation with Bill Benson's Steam Tours group. The schedule featured 2 round trips between Philadelphia and Hershey, Pennsylvania, and an overnight round trip run from Elizabeth, New Jersey to Washington, D.C. The 2102, the first of 3 T1 class Northerns operated by Ross Rowland, have been the star of the Reading Ramble Steam Excursion program, a series of 50 fan trips which ran between 1960 and 64. She was sold to Benson in 1966. Converted in 1945 from large 280s in the Reading's own shops, the new 484s had an engine weight of 441,300 pounds. With 70-inch drivers and 68,000 pounds of tractive force, 79,100 pounds with the booster kicked in, the burly T1s were a bit bigger and more powerful than the nickel-plate Berks. Just the ticket for Rowland and the High Iron crew. Most people, though, except maybe some Pennsylvania Dutchmen, thought that the nickel-plate engines beat the Reading's homemade creations hands down in the looks department. For the 1973 season, 2102 was cosmetically altered to look like Delaware and Hudson 484 number 302 in honor of that railroad's 150th anniversary. Doubleheading with D&H 653, which was really Canadian Pacific G5 1278, our old friend number 127 from the Steamtown collection, the elephant-eared 302 and her trusty Pacific-type companion ran several April excursions between Colony, New York and Montreal, Canada. The final High Iron Company excursion was an encore performance by beloved Berks 759, which Ross had leased on a short-term basis to promote the forthcoming American Freedom Train during a July 1973 fan trip from Hoboken to Scranton and return.
Of all the engines that we operated through the American Freedom Train experience, I must say that the 759 was the Cadillac of those locomotives, being the most modern and roller-bearing. The G5 Pacifics were great little engines and did a great job for us, and some of them are still running today on different tourist railroads, and they're a magnificent little engine. The Reading T1s are a workhorse par excellence, and a bark second to none, and pulling ability second to none. But for riding quality and get up and go, the nickel plate Berks are very hard to beat.
Ross began the enormous task of organizing the American Freedom Train in late 1969. His initial idea was to have the project funded by the United States government. Armed with a variety of promotional drawings by noted railroad artist Bob Lorenz and scale models of the display cars, Ross spent the next 2 years making a series of 55 presentations, yielding a total of 55 turndowns. Finally, in 1973, Rowland pitched his plan to Don Kendall, chairman of the Pepsi-Cola Company. Shortly thereafter, with Kendall's enthusiastic support, the American Freedom Train Foundation received grants of $1 million each from Pepsi, General Motors, Prudential Insurance, and Kraft Foods. The Freedom Train could now become a reality.
Little known to most people, those 4 companies didn't just give us money and go away. They gave us money and they supported us through their regional and local sales outfits and showrooms, and every town we went to, Our four sponsors made sure we got everything we needed to be a success, and that's why it worked.
With the projected opening day of April 1st, 1975 quickly approaching, Ross and his staff rapidly went to work building what would turn out to be the only nationwide celebration of the bicentennial. As seen on the official Freedom Train film, Ross explained his vision of the train from his headquarters in the restored Lebanon, New Jersey Railroad Station.
When I first told people about my idea to put together a half-mile-long red, white, and blue train, a train to be pulled by a giant steam locomotive, and to put on that train some of our nation's most important artifacts and documents, and take them to the people, most of the folks couldn't envision the project. Fortunately, the right people did listen and came forward to help us get the train going.
After considering a number of large steam locomotives to pull the Freedom Train, Ross selected ex-Southern Pacific Daylight 484 number 4449 to do the honors. On December 14th, 1974, she was pulled out of Oaks Park in Portland, Oregon, and moved to a nearby Burlington Northern Roundhouse for restoration. Built by Lima in 1941 and equipped with big 80-inch drivers for high-speed dual-service operation, the 4449 had an engine weight of 475,000 pounds, a bit heavier than the nickel-plate Berkshires, but her tractive effort of 64,600 pounds without the booster was almost identical to that of the 759. Meanwhile, the 25-car consist of the American Freedom Train began to take shape when 12 former New York Central baggage cars were purchased and brought to Venice, Florida, and Oakland, California, for conversion into display cars. Final outfitting took place in Pittsburgh and Chicago, with the completed cars being sent to Cameron Station Military Reservation in Virginia. President Richard Nixon directed federal archivists to make virtually everything in their collection available to the Freedom Train Foundation. This gave the exhibit designers the opportunity to create 12 cars of displays highlighting various aspects of American life, including science, sports, entertainment, and political history. 2 of the 10 refurbished cars had large displays that could be viewed from the ground through huge showcase windows. This was of great benefit to those in the crowd who could not stay at the train long enough to visit the remaining 10 cars, which were fitted with moving walkways to convey visitors through a series of exhibits featuring 512 original artifacts of famous Americana.
And in those 512 original artifacts, which were lent to us by 285 lenders, private and public museums, private individuals, etc., were some real extraordinary treasures, such as George Washington's original copy of the Constitution with his own handwriting in the margins, Delaware's copy of the first copy of the Bill of Rights, priceless, absolutely priceless documents and artifacts, moon rocks, Bob Lanier's size 23 sneakers, the World Series trophy, the Super Bowl trophy, the Stanley Cup, etc., etc., etc. 512 original significant artifacts telling part of the story of our country's 200-year history. And that's why the American Freedom Train was a sellout in every city it visited, because at least one of those items was a must-see for some